It is well established that many individuals who lose weight eventually regain the weight they lose. I've discussed the importance of body composition considerations in prior videos regarding the body mass index and the obesity paradox, but this also seems relevant for weight loss maintenance. While the literature base is still in the early stages, maintaining your lean body mass while losing body fat may be a key factor to prevent weight regain in the long run. That is what we will explore in this video. Attention towards this topic first began with an analysis of the Minnesota starvation experiment. This was an older study that almost certainly could not be performed today due to significant ethical concerns. Essentially, 24 lean men underwent a semi-starvation period where calories were significantly restricted while performing substantial amounts of physical activity. In addition to losing lots of body fat and lean body mass, the men also experienced very significant psychological changes during the study, which is where much of the ethical concerns come into play. For the purpose of this video, the more interesting consideration is what happened during the refeeding portion of the experiment that 12 men completed. Panel A shows what you may expect to occur, which would be an initial loss of body fat and lean body mass and then a regain of the body fat and lean body mass to their baseline levels. However, that is not what was observed. It turns out that the subjects regained body fat faster than the lean body mass, and they continued gaining weight until all of the lean body mass was restored to its baseline point. This resulted in fat overshooting, where they gained excess body fat relative to their baseline status, and this phenomenon has subsequently been described as collateral fattening. Here is a figure depicting the actual data from the 12 subjects, where the black line shows body weight, the blue line shows fat-free mass, and the red line shows body fat. Thus, this is the first hint that losing lean body mass can make it more difficult to maintain weight loss, as these individuals had an increased drive to eat until their lean body mass was restored. However, when looking more deeply at the data, it is clear that the initial body fat percentage played a role in the degree of fat overshooting that occurred. In these graphs, the black points represent the 12 subjects who completed the study, while the red points comprise average values of separate studies using U.S. Army Ranger data. The two charts show the amount of fat overshooting in kilograms and the amount of fat overshooting as a percentage of the baseline level of fat. It seems that as initial body fat percentage increases, this fat overshooting becomes less significant, but given the small number of subjects, we need to also consider what the data looks like in people starting with higher levels of body fat. Much of this literature base was compiled in a large systematic review and meta-regression published in 2019. This review included 43 studies of 52 eligible groups attempting to determine how the rate and amount of weight loss impacted lean body mass loss and subsequent weight regain. We will discuss considerations of the rate of weight loss in a future video. All studies in this analysis were performed in adults, included only groups with an average BMI in the overweight or obesity range, required at least 2% weight regain on the group level, and excluded exercise interventions. The average weight loss was 10.1 kilograms, the average fat mass loss was 7.8 kilograms, and the average lean body mass loss was 1.9 kilograms. Both fat mass loss and lean body mass loss were predictive of subsequent weight regain, where together they explained 40% of the variance of weight regain compared to 29% from initial weight loss alone. However, lean body mass loss was not a significant predictor of weight regain after adjusting for fat mass loss, but this may be because there was a fairly small loss of lean body mass at less than 2 kilograms on average. As both fat mass loss and lean body mass loss are generally gained or lost in tandem with weight changes, the small amount of lean body mass loss was likely overpowered by the larger amount of fat mass loss in this analysis. Since this review, several other relevant studies have been published, which I will discuss briefly. You can see the details of these studies on my right if curious. One study employed an 8-week dietary intervention with a 26-week follow-up period, finding that men on average lost larger amounts of weight and lean body mass than women while regaining more weight as well. The men, but not the women, had correlations between their lean body mass loss and subsequent weight regain, as well as their hunger levels, desire to eat, and general fullness. The lack of correlations in women may be related to the smaller amount of weight loss and weight regain they experienced. A separate study employed aerobic training interventions without a dietary component, finding that greater amounts of lean body mass loss associated with greater increases in the reinforcing value of food, which may portend weight gain over time. A different study utilized a 7-week weight loss dieting period that transitioned into a 24-week weight maintenance phase. Here, greater amounts of lean body mass loss associated with greater increases in ghrelin, the primary hormone associated with stimulating hunger. Finally, one study only including women in the overweight range by BMI placed them on low-calorie diets until they reached a healthy range BMI and encouraged them to maintain their weight loss for 1 year. The percentage of lean body mass they lost correlated with the amount of weight they regained. Overall, it definitely seems that lean body mass loss can somehow trigger increased hunger and weight regain over time. Thus, it seems that lean body mass loss can associate with increased levels of ghrelin and hunger in general. This had been seen in earlier studies as well, where not only lean body mass loss associated with ghrelin, but higher levels of skeletal muscle mass correlated with lower levels of ghrelin. However, this doesn't tell the whole story, as if it did, then higher levels of skeletal muscle would correlate with lower amounts of energy intake, but that isn't what is observed. In fact, studies generally find that having a higher level of lean body mass correlates with higher levels of energy intake, often mediated by the impact of lean body mass on your resting metabolic rate. This makes sense. It is logical that when people burn more calories from a faster overall metabolism, as well as any exercise performed to increase their lean body mass, they will need to consume more calories to make up for it. But if this is true, then why would losing lean body mass also stimulate an increase in hunger, energy intake, and subsequent weight regain? Part of this may simply be due to the fact that as you lose lean body mass, your overall metabolism will decrease, and when you burn fewer calories, you will gain more weight if you do not adjust your caloric intake accordingly. However, this would not account for the increase in hunger that has been observed. Thus, it seems that in some way the body can sense a lean body mass deficit that subsequently stimulates hunger. So what are the signals that link a loss of lean body mass to increased hunger and energy intake? At this point, it is not completely clear, but researchers are looking into this. Skeletal muscle itself can secrete hundreds of myokines, and some of these seem like promising candidates. For example, there seems to be a complex interplay between myostatin from skeletal muscle, growth hormone, IGF-1 levels, and ghrelin itself. Perhaps with muscle loss, this ultimately leads to an increase in ghrelin levels to stimulate hunger and energy intake in an attempt to replenish the lost muscle. There are several other putative candidates as well, and many of these may be relevant with or without performing regular exercise. At this point, much more research is needed to be able to state concretely what role each of these plays, if any, in increasing overall hunger when lean body mass is lost. Overall, it is still unclear just how important it is to maintain your lean body mass while losing body fat to prevent long-term weight regain, as we still need more data. The extreme examples I showed at the beginning of this video indicate that collateral fattening is very significant when you're in the healthy body fat percentage range and losing substantial amounts of weight. We don't have very good data in athletic populations who are generally in the healthy body fat percentage range and losing smaller amounts of weight. The data I presented in more realistic populations of people with overweight and obesity generally incorporates up to around 25 pounds of weight loss, with around 5 pounds being from lean body mass. While this data does indicate that lean body mass loss correlates with increased hunger and weight regain, the association thus far is not overly strong. I personally do believe, as several authors have stated, that the benefit of maintaining your lean body mass as you lose body fat will become even stronger as you lose greater amounts of weight. But until more studies directly evaluate this, I cannot state this concretely. In regards to what steps you can take to help ensure you maintain as much lean body mass as possible while losing body fat, one small study demonstrated the potential impact of obtaining sufficient sleep. This study included 10 people with a BMI range of 25 to 32 and had them undergo 2 separate 2-week periods of identical caloric restricted diets with either 8.5 hours of sleep each night or 5.5 hours of sleep. When restricted to only 5.5 hours of sleep each night, the participants lost substantially more lean body mass, less overall fat mass, and experienced increased ghrelin and hunger levels. So getting sufficient sleep should be helpful. However, the more commonly discussed factors you can control are the rate of your weight loss, your protein intake, and your resistance training or overall exercise habits. I've put some quick bullet points on the screen for you, as I haven't made videos on these topics yet, but we'll continue this discussion with the impact of the rate of weight loss in the next video. Thank you all for your time, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.